Hi, I'm Chantel Rodriguez from Millcreek Township.
And I'm Jessica Stutzman. Welcome back to the Millcreek Government Channel.
Today we're talking with Jaclyn Clover, Director of Basketball Operations for the Millcreek Youth Athletic Association, or MYAA. She's here to talk about how the organization is giving local kids a chance to learn, grow, and play through community sports. Jaclyn, thank you so much for joining us today, and it's your first time being here on the Millcreek Government Channel as well.
It is, and thank you so much for having me. A great opportunity to talk about this wonderful organization.
Yeah. Yes, this organization, and particularly this sport in particular, this is, where you thrive. And so we wanted to have you on and have you tell us about the MYAA basketball program and what age group it services.
Yeah, so the MYAA basketball program has been around for a really long time. I'm going into my 6th year as the director here, and prior to that, I served 2 years as a commissioner. So I've been around for like 8 years, which is just crazy to think about. And so our basketball program serves around 800 kids. We've had years of up to 1,000 kids in our basketball program, ages kindergarten through high school. Actually, we actually have a high school that's co-ed. That high school kids are just looking to get involved and do something. And so, yeah, we do kindergarten through high school, and then we have a competitive league that you can also bring in a full team. So coaches will bring in a team, and then they'll work on developing their team skills. The K through high school is a recreational basketball league. So just working on fundamental skills, and for the most part to have just a great time, something to do.
I knew it was popular. I did not know it was that popular. 800 to 1,000 kids, that's incredible. Do you have to turn kids away, or is everybody accepted?
Never. And in fact, they get mad at me because I allowed too many late registrations in, because I never want to turn a kid away. I mean, at the end of the day, we're a recreational youth athletic league. And so our goal is to create, yes, we focus on athletes and we're sports, but there's so much more to it in our organization than that. And I always want to provide an opportunity for kids to get out and play. And it's really great because you also are interacting with kids from all across. It's not just Millcreek, even though that's our name. It's all across Erie County. So you're interacting with kids who you've never met before. You're learning to play with them. It teaches you so many more skills than just fundamentals in basketball.
Mm-hmm. That's so true of sports. I think it teaches you how to take direction. It teaches you how to give direction, and then also how to work with your peers to resolve a problem or to participate in this sport, this game. I love youth sports, and there's just so much more to it than just the sport itself.
Absolutely, and we're actually seeing a decline in kids playing youth sports, and that's across the country. That's not MYAA. MYAA has actually found a way to grow by adding more programs to meet the demands and the needs of, flag football and cheerleading and wrestling and those things. From what even just in the last 10 years, but across the country we're seeing a decline. 58% of youth played in sports and just in 2017, and then the latest number I saw in 2022 was down to 53%. Wow. So we're probably even less than that now, 3 years even after that statistic came out. So we're seeing less kids get involved. So that's just really at our core of our mission, is to keep kids involved, whether you're going to be that breakout athlete or whether you're just there, like I said, high schoolers who in between work shifts just want to play. It's kind of like pickup basketball. I mean, that's what we're there for, to provide an opportunity for those kids.
Yeah, and I think you even got into the next question as far as like what is the mission or the philosophy behind the program, which you answered just now. So how does it support youth development in the community? I know you said you service Millcreek. There's Erie. Where do you see the philosophy being?
Yeah, so if you go to any Millcreek high school basketball game, baseball, softball, wrestling match, like those kids have probably gone through MYAA. It's a pretty good feeder system into the school district, but also we have adaptive baseball for those with intellectual or physical special needs. And just seeing those players out there is amazing too. So I think we serve the community, again, providing an opportunity for players to develop their skills and learn and grow and work with different coaches and play with different players and play year round. You can play baseball pretty much year round now between your school and then to come into our summer program and our fall ball program. So that's really wonderful. But also, again, just those social skills. I mentioned this, that my first season was the COVID season, the 2020 to 2021. And at that time in winter, we were playing sports, but we had limited capacity on people who could attend. We had to wear masks. kids weren't in school. And I had so many parents come up to me just thanking me for not canceling the season because their kids at home were struggling. They needed a outlet, and basketball provided that for them. And I questioned myself, like, why are we doing this? What's the safety? Like, and having that, even just a couple of parents that came up to me and they're like, my kids were not smiling. They have not been around their friends. And then they came out and they got to play basketball. It's so much more than just athletics, and that's what we try to provide. So I think going back to your question about like what we do for the community is, again, providing a safe place for kids to play sports, but also their mental health, their physical health, their well-being, learning coping skills of losing and winning, and learning from different coaches. And a lot of the coaches are their parents. So that's another obstacle, right? Like, you have to listen to mom and dad at home, and then you also have to listen to mom and dad when they're coaching you. So it's just kind of like, I love the organization. I love what we do. I think it's a really great thing. I think people get fixated on the athletic part of it, and really it's so much more than that.
I agree with you with the coping skills. My daughter participates in the MYAA softball program, so I know we're talking about basketball, but there's a lot of conversations again about situational awareness, but getting out, like if somebody gets you out at a base, and man, she was devastated, and I don't know, that she's had a lot of sports situations where she's been devastated like that, and you have to make a recovery and a comeback, and good skills to teach little kids that you're not going to get everything that you want all of the time, and that sometimes happens on the court, that happens on the field, that happens just happens, and it's a part of sports. And I think it builds resiliency, I think is what I'm trying to say. There's
and it starts at such a young age. My daughter is 4 years old. She entered the T-ball program this summer, and I've noticed, like, she has a lot of perfectionist tendencies already, and so it's just even from such a young age of and she doesn't go to daycare, so it's following somebody else's order, waiting your turn. I mean, just the skills could go on and what you're getting out of it. And then also being outside, being in nature, not behind a screen, not sitting on the couch. It's physical and mental.
Absolutely. So you said you've been with the program for 6 years. We know MYAA has been around a really long time. How has MYAA or the basketball program itself, how has it grown and evolved over the years?
So MYAA is celebrating our 70th season, or 70th year, so we're very excited about that. So if we went back 70 years ago, I don't know what that looks like, but I can imagine the growth. But I know even in the last 10 years that we have added programs like cheerleading, wrestling, adaptive baseball, flag football, even like that, which is going to be a PIAA sport, I believe. I could be, wrong on that, but it's, again, just kind of growing to fit the what's popular, the trends. But of course, we have our core programs like basketball and baseball, softball, lacrosse, cross country were newer 10 years ago. Those have steady enrollment numbers every year. I mentioned that I started during the pandemic, and even during that year, we had 700 kids still play basketball during a global pandemic, and now every year since then, we've grown in our numbers back up to almost pre-pandemic enrollment numbers. So as I mentioned, we see that decline in enrollment in sports across the country, and we feel that in MYAA, and of course, I can sit here and say how great we are, but we're always wanting more kids. Like, we always want to see more people out there. But we have found a way to maintain enrollment numbers and grow, or, shift our focus maybe just a little bit to try to this is popular right now. How can we incorporate that into our organization? But yeah, we've been in the community for 70 years and not going anywhere anytime soon.
That's fantastic.
And, speaking about the growth that MYAA has had over the years, what does a typical season look like from the registration to the playoffs? Could you give us an insight as to what that would look like?
Absolutely. So basketball registration opens in September, so typically September 1st, and we close at the end of the month. We work on setting the teams, getting the coaches, all that stuff during the month of October. Then we have 4 practices in November, and then starting the first week of December, we should switch to games. And you play 10 games, obviously with a break around Christmas. So it's about 14 weeks of basketball between November and mid-February is when we wrap it up for the season.
Nice.
And we mentioned again the coaches might be parents. Who are the coaches and volunteers that participate in the MYAA programs, and how important is their role in making the whole organization a success?
Yeah, so we couldn't do what we do without volunteers. In fact, all of MYAA is everyone who runs a program is a volunteer. So we're an entire volunteer-run organization, and that goes down even to our coaches and sometimes helpers. We do staff, high school kids, refs, those types of things to referee the games or work the scoreboard and stuff like that. But when it comes down to our coaches, they are all volunteer. And so just alone in basketball, I had 96 teams, which means I had 96 parents step up and volunteer. And that's just head coaches, obviously. Some coaches had assistant coaches. So we have, upwards of nearly 200 coaches every year who are parents. And every year I'm so humbled and amazed by how many people want to step up and be that, take on those coaching responsibilities. It's a lot, especially the younger kids. You got to make sure they're running in the right direction. And we do have an equal playing time rule as well in our league. Because again, we're a recreational league and we want to provide a safe and welcoming place for everybody. So those coaches then have to manage, playing time and who's been in, and it doesn't matter if you miss a couple weeks, you're still equal playing time. And so of course, we have a strict code of conduct that our coaches also have to follow. They're expected to maintain good sportsmanship, promote that within their, and make sure their players are executing that as well. So our volunteers are literally the backbone of the organization, everything down from who runs the programs to the coaches.
Mm-hmm. And it is so fun. It is so fun. If anyone has ever coached MYAA, or if you're thinking about coaching, or again, it doesn't just have to be a parent. It can be a grandparent, aunt, uncle. We just, if you love the sport and you want to be involved, reach out.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how I got started. So I mentioned my daughter is 4, and I've been in there, if you can do the math, 6 years I started this before. I started as just a basketball coach from my predecessor who ran the program. He would call me and be like, hey, I need a coach. And I'd be like, all right, sign me up. Had no kid on the team. I have a grandmother who her kids are long out of the program, and she just loves to coach these kids, has no relative left in it, and she just it's her way to get out, especially during the winter when it's cold and dark days. It gives you something to do on a Saturday that's fun, and you're giving back to these kids, and these kids are just amazing. I mean, they are tremendous kids, and of course every year you have your issues, and you get a coach that wants to play their kid all the time and those things, but for the most part we find really great people who step up and just treat every kid on their team like their own.
Mm-hmm. And it's really generational, because you mentioned, you started this and then you had a daughter and now she's involved in that. So it's very much like everyone is tagging along throughout the years, and you really build a community doing that. So it's really nice to see that come to fruition. Your kids mm-hmm. might end up playing MYAA. Mm-hmm. So it's nice.
Exactly. And like I said, we've been around for 70 years. So we are seeing that, where it's your kids are now playing. And I mean, that's what's kept us going all these years. And it's so fun to see. And even just the growth in facilities and things like that we, that baseball fields and things like that. Oh, I remember mm-hmm. when, XYZ, we've all heard those stories, and it's so nice to see those continue on.
Mm-hmm. I will say on our particular softball team, myself, I did play MYAA softball, and our other female coach also played MYAA softball. We were on opposing teams, and just, it's so funny now. We both have daughters the same age, and now, we're co-coaching, and it's just been such a cool experience to go from being, and again, very respectful, opponents and whatnot, but now our daughters are playing together, and now we're, leading the next charge of coaching, and are the next generations coming through.
And that goes even across, again, we welcome, kids from not just Millcreek. So you see, basketball players who play for maybe McDowell, they're going up against a Harbor Creek team. Mm-hmm. They may have played together in MYAA. And so, they're high-fiving each other because they used to be friends, or they've continued that lifelong friendship all the way through high school and beyond. And it's great. It's great to see. And I coached girls who are still playing together. maybe in high school. And it's just, now actually I saw one graduate college. I'm like, wow, time flies. Didn't realize I was getting older, but it's just incredible to see the generations keep it going.
It definitely is.
And I know we're speaking about all of the sports here, but for basketball, how does MYAA ensure the accessibility and the inclusiveness for all of the kids in the community to participate in basketball?
So like I said, we're a volunteer-based organization. So by doing that, it allows us to keep our costs as low as possible. When you sign up for MYAA, we try very, very hard every year to not have to raise enrollment prices. That just goes based off of the cost for facilities and overhead costs. But again, we try to keep the cost as low as possible. For basketball, it's $85 and you have 14 weeks of basketball. So, we try really hard. And of course, we are willing to do what we can to work with families who may have needs. And so again, the volunteer base is kind of how we help keep costs low. Basketball, we welcome students from all across the county. It doesn't matter any part of your background, like it doesn't matter your skill level. You could be the star on the team, or you could have never touched a basketball. I coached 4th and 5th grade girls, and I had a lot of girls who just wanted something to do, and they had never touched a basketball. You're welcome. So we welcome everybody. And like I said, they get mad at me because I never cut off registration. It'll be November, and I'm like, how can I get you on a team, but I can't get you a shirt in time, So we try to keep the cost low. We will welcome any kid with open arms.
Yeah. And again, so much of MYAA success comes from all of that volunteering. What other partnerships, or do you have partnerships with any of the schools, local businesses, or the township that also help support you?
Yeah, so again, this organization has been successful for 70 years, largely because of sponsorships. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention we have between 300 and 350 sponsors every year that also help keep the lights on. And that's everywhere from really low, I don't want to say low because every dollar makes a difference, but from small donations all the way up to these massive banners at the softball and baseball fields that they sign 5-year contracts. So we couldn't do what we do without the sponsors. So we're always looking for local businesses that are wanting to get involved, not just local, but any business that is wanting to get involved and helps, provide a t-shirt and things like that to the kids. You get your names on the t-shirts and the websites and all that kind of stuff. So our sponsorships are huge. Basketball plays at the Millcreek Township School District Gymnasium. So the school district has been a tremendous partner of ours. Again, we don't own our own basketball facility. So we lean on them, and they've been a great partner with us. We also partner with Sinai Sports in Millcreek Township on West 15th Street. Actually, I mentioned that COVID year, they bailed us out big time. No gym could rent to us or wanted to or weren't open, or just it would, and they saved our season. So when I had that parent coming up to me that's like, thank you so much, it's like, really thank you to them for still opening their arms. So they've been a tremendous partner. We've loved working with them ever since. So there, and within all the other sports, there's all these other community partners as well, but those are the big ones for basketball.
When you talked about seeing someone graduate and watching her through those steps, are there any other standout stories for you or success moments from past players or teams that you'd like to share that you were a part of or that you witnessed? Would you be able to do that?
Yeah, so every season is a standout moment. And I will tell you this, and I don't want to sound too negative, but as the director, I get very inundated with the complaints, right? Like I sit here again and say how wonderful it is. Every season there's ups and downs, right? And so the standout moments for me are after I have dealt with some issues within our organization, and I stop by on a Saturday afternoon and just see the kids having fun. So we've had standout athletes. Our baseball program has won, trophies and championships and things like that, and received recognition across the county. There's names that I couldn't name off the top of my head, but that have gone on to do great things. But I think the big standout moments for me are that pandemic year, having those parents thank us for what we do, or the kid that, cries. We have this clinic day in October, and they won't leave their mom's side because they don't know anybody. They don't know the coaches. They don't really know basketball. It's very overwhelming with how many kids are in the gym. And we're like, just stick with it. And by the end of the season, they're just having the time of their life. Or they're, like, can't wait for next year already. So I don't have like specific moments of like, because we don't do tournaments and things like that. Again, our organization is really focused on, providing a safe, welcoming place for people to come and just have fun.
And I know our show's coming to a close here. Do you just want to mention again, like where, parents, guardians, any of our viewers, and volunteer supporters, where they can get in touch with MYAA and how do they get signed up?
Yeah, MYAAsports.com is our website. We list all of our programs and when their registrations are going to be open. There's sports year round. So while basketball registration is open and please sign up for basketball. Of course, there's always the next sport. Wrestling opens in October. And then we've got cheerleading throughout that as well. That cheerleads for football and basketball. So it's there. Just the list goes on and on. So MYAAsports.com. You can reach out to any of the program directors if you have any questions or want to get involved or sponsor. Again, we, hate peddling for money, but we need it. And so if you want to sponsor, your business or organization is interested in that. And then if you want to get involved and volunteer, there are some age groups that we have to turn away some parents because we have too many for the amount of teams that we have. But there is also age groups that we struggle to get enough coaches. So we are always looking for volunteers. Our door is always open. And so you can just reach out to any of the program directors and the programs that you're looking to volunteer for, and we'd be happy to get you involved in some way.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Jaclyn, for coming on the show today and sharing all of this information. Like I said, I'm more familiar with softball than any other sport, but I learned so much more about basketball that I didn't already know. So thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us, having me on. Definitely look forward to seeing all the bright and smiling faces that we get out of this. So.
We do too. We do too. Thank you. Thank you to Jaclyn and MYAA for joining us and sharing more about the great things happening in local youth sports. For more information, head to MYAAsports.com. Thank you for watching the Millcreek Government Channel.